1, guess we got it here. This is Dick, WB2JPQ. I, along with Vicky, K8VKY, and Roger, K04QMM, will be bringing you this week's East Coast Reflector Tech Net. Number 648. Many Tuesday nights we've been down here. 12 and a half years, something like that, I guess it is. It's getting tougher and tougher to come up with questions after we've had so very many. Our good friend Roger tonight came up with a question that we thought we would use tonight, which should prove to be very interesting. We kicked it around a little bit in the Zoom room. What brought you to the East Coast Reflector? How did you get here? Was it our magazine? Did somebody tap you on the shoulder and say, go over to the East Coast Reflector? So that's our question tonight. How did you get here? How did you get to the East Coast Reflector? And that was Roger's question, K04QMM. Bear with me tonight. I've been sick for 4 days, and we'll get through this here tonight somehow. Got a little cough and laryngitis and a few things, but we're going to make it. Anyway, Charles is off tonight. He's off on assignment, so we don't have an intro like we've been doing. Charles has been doing a nice little introduction every week to his antenna farm, but I trust we'll be back next week. Let me go up and see if Kevin, VE3BZ, has anything from our swap and shop. Good evening, Kevin.
Well, good evening, Dick, and good evening to everyone on the net. This is Kevin, VE3BZ, with tonight's swap and shop portion of the Tech Net. And I only have one listening tonight, and that's from Gil, K4GDS in Orlando, Florida. Gil is selling a PrepCom MMX multiband Morse code transceiver for 20 meters. It will also do 40 and 80 meters with a module that can be obtained from PrepCom. Includes keyboard, power cord, and a hard case for the transceiver. We'll ship to any QRZ address for actual shipping costs, and he's asking $200. And Gil's email is k4gds@icloud.com. And as far as the question goes, well, I've been here for quite some time. I guess it was back in 2014 when I built my IRLP node. I was just looking for a place to park the node and found the East Coast Reflector. I was looking for nets, and I think it was the Tech Net that I first joined. And then I just left it here full time and been here ever since. So that's my story. Back to you, Dick, VE3BZ.
And we've been very grateful to have you, Kevin, for all you do, and our nighttime control station, and thank you to everything that you do. And all our team members, all of our team members are busy at work. A couple of quick announcements here. Tomorrow night is open mic night. Wednesday night is open mic night at 8 o'clock on the East Coast Reflector. I'm not sure who Mark has lined up, but I'm sure he'll have a couple of new people lined up. That's at 8 o'clock. That's our newest net. And Thursday, this is the third Thursday of the month, so we'll have Ask the Elmer, Be an Elmer in the East Coast Reflector Zoom room. Ask an Elmer, Be an Elmer at 8 o'clock. Everything we do here on the East Coast Reflector is East Coast time. Not to be confused, you'll have to do your own translation. And of course, Friday night is the Youth Net. And I guess they broke, I was not there this week, first one I've missed in a long time. They broke all kinds of records. I think they were trying to tie the morning brew. I forgot how many check-ins they had, but they were really doing great. And it's great to have the enthusiasm of our youngsters. Another announcement that is coming up is a a lot coming up for the holidays. Santa Claus is going to be here. Vicky's been talking to Santa Claus, and we're coming up with a schedule when Santa Claus is going to be here. Our phone number will be is activated again this year. More to follow on that. And New Year's Eve. If you remember, Vicki and I have done the last, I think, 3 New Year's Eves together on the Reflector. This year we're going to do it as well, and we're going to start at 8 o'clock at night. We're going to start with some of our youth. Grayson wanted to get in at the 8 o'clock slot, but he'll probably do a half an hour from 8 to 8:30, and I'm hoping to get River and Ivan in to follow. Of our regular net control operators will take us right on through till maybe 1 in the morning. So if any of our regular net control operators want to participate, tell me what time, and send me an email or whatever, or text message, and we'll get you worked in. I'm trying to come up with a schedule. But that's a ways off. That'll be New Year's Eve. So if you're not planning on going out, planning on stay safe and sound in your house, spend New Year's Eve with the East Coast Reflector family. As everyone knows by now, we have changed our format. After we get done with the stations with questions, we go right into text check-ins. We do 10 text check-ins, and then 10 radio check-ins, and then 10 text and so forth and so on. So if you're not on the text list yet, please text in. We had a little problem this morning. I guess it was a major outage somewhere. I wasn't privy to the information. I bothered to find out, but they had an issue this morning on the morning brew, but it seems to be fixed now. The text number, for those of you that don't know, is 716-317-9050. 716-317-9050. We'll get on the text line, and we'll get you in here right after we do stations with questions. So I think that's all the commercials I have. Like I said, Charles is not here tonight. But let's see what we have with stations with questions. We'll do our best to field them, and don't know if David's here tonight, but we'll do our best to find some answers to stations with questions. So anybody anywhere that has an amateur radio related question, please give us your call sign. This is Dick, WB2JPQ. Control. KF8EYE, Foxtrot 8, Echo, Yankee Echo. Quebec 4, Foxtrot Hotel Echo. Kilo Quebec 4, Foxtrot Hotel Echo. Oh, I recognize Pat in Harvest, Alabama. And my friend Caleb, KF8EYE. I see you in the Zoom room, Caleb, along with others. Tell everybody they're more than welcome to come in our Zoom room and wave to us. We please don't talk during the net, but come in and support us. I guess it was brought up at one of our town hall meetings that we should advertise that the Zoom room is open during all of our nets, and that's what I'm doing. So good evening to you, Caleb, and KF8EYE. We'll ask you the question: what brought you to the East Coast Reflector? How did you find the East Coast Reflector? And do you have a question for us tonight? Good evening. Yeah, good evening, Dick. It's really good hearing you in the net, and I'm happy to check into the Tech Net. Thank you very much for running the net tonight. My call sign is KF8EYE. My name's Caleb here in Grafton, West Virginia. And I'm good on the QRZ. And I found the East Coast Reflector from my good friend ABAE. He's a nearby ham here in West Virginia. And I found it on his QRZ page. So he has a QRZ page, so be sure to check his QRZ page out. But that's where I found the East Coast Reflector. So that was pretty cool. And yeah, for my question for the night, what's your favorite HF wire antenna?
Thanks for running the net tonight, and 73 to all. This is KF8EYE.
What's your favorite HF wire antenna? That ought to get a little bit of discussion going. So, I've played with a lot of them, Caleb, over the years. And I like the NFED and I like the off-center fed dipole. They both work very well for me, but let's put it out to the group and we'll get some input from you. Everybody's going to have a favorite, and everybody's antenna works better than the next person. You know that. So we'd like to help Caleb out and give some suggestions on what is your best HF wire antenna. Tango Delta Romeo. Well, Trevor, Syracuse, Utah. I thought everybody was going to leave me high and dry here. K7 TDR. Good evening to you, Trevor. And why don't you answer our question if you can, and go ahead and give some input to Trevor. And once again, our question is, what brought you to the East Coast Reflector? Should be interesting to find out everyone's answer tonight. Good evening.
I would say what brought me to the East Coast Reflector is probably a similar story to most other people here. I built an all-star node about, 6 months ago, and I was just looking for a place to connect it to, and I thought the East Coast Reflector was pretty cool. We have something kind of similar over here on the west. We have the Intermountain Air Tie and stuff like that, but no, I really enjoy just the amount of connections there are here. We'll let it reset. Favorite NFED, or favorite wire antenna, I just pulled it right there. I love the random wire NFED with the 9-to-1 balance. And anything I can really use to get creative with the 9-to-1 balance. I had to always operate using out of an apartment. So I've done anything from using my gutters as an antenna to, making my balcony railing work and all kinds of good stuff like that. So I really do love using the 9-to-1 balance with just a random wire. I can throw it up into a tree and see where I can contact. And I've made some pretty great contacts from Australia and Europe and all that good stuff. So that's it. I'll throw it back to you, K7 TDR.
Well, thank you for your comments, Trevor. And funny you should mention the gutters. Eve was having a conversation with Caleb. He's in the Zoom room here. He's looking at me. We're looking at each other here. We were having a conversation here a week or so ago, and he thinking about doing just that. So he just might do it. I guess he's got a big fence alongside of his house too, so he might very well be loading that up. Well, take one more. Who's got a suggestion on a HF wire antenna for Caleb? He's looking for suggestions.
AJR, W2AJR.
JR, the big signal, big voice from Cheektowaga, New York on 40 meters. Good evening, Andy.
What got me hooked on the East Coast Reflector, I got bored during COVID, so I bought myself an HT and programmed it with Chirp, and lo and behold, there were several of your repeaters, Dick, with the East Coast Reflector ready-made. So I figured I better go out and get my amateur radio license so I can participate, and that's how I got hooked up. My favorite wire antenna is the one I have now. It's an off-center fed doublet, fed with 450 ohm ladder line. It's quiet, it tunes up every place, and it's awesome. Back to you, Dick.
We got an ID coming from Ocala, Florida. All right. Thank you, Andy. Andy, do you want to? I see that you texted in. Do you want to stay on the call list? We can just as easy leave you there, or we can count this as your check-in.
I'll just listen along. You can count me as checked in. Thank you.
Well, unless Vicky take you off, it is kind of confusing when people answer the questions and they also text in. Texting is a little bit new here to the net, the way we're doing it. So thanks. That's a good suggestion. Well, there's a couple of suggestions, Caleb. I'll come back in a couple of weeks or in a week and let us know what you've loaded up. And I really want you to try your gutters, try your eave troughs. You told this story many times. One of the very first nets we did here years and years and years back, probably 11 years ago. We had a gentleman. He was up in Connecticut somewhere that was going to do that. And he did it, and he came back 4 or 5 years later and said he's still running his eave troughs and gutters and all kinds of contacts with it, so it was working well for him. Let me go to Pat in Harvest, Alabama. Pat, good evening to you, KQ4FHE. Why don't you answer our question, and we'll take one from you. Go ahead.
Dick and everybody else on the net. I've got a couple of questions. First question is, are there any QSL bureaus that handle state-to-state contacts for working POTA? And the second one is, does a long wire dipole have more noise than a resonant dipole?
We're going to have to get some answers on that first one. You're looking the QSL via for state to state for QSL cards. Is that what you're looking for, Pat, for POTA contacts?
No bureau that does that.
Question. We'll have to put that out to our listening audience. I have no idea. I stopped QSLing back about 1974. So, who can help Pat out on number one question? Is there any, as he worded it, state-to-state QSL bureaus that will handle POTA cards?
It is. I Googled it and I couldn't find anything on Google.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. And your second question was long wire versus which was better for signal to noise, long wire versus random, was it, Pat? What was the second part of the question?
Roger, you have the question right.
Pat's looking for the second part of this question, which has lower noise, in your opinion, a long wire or a random wire for HF? Anybody want to take a bite at that and Harvest, Alabama out? TDR. Right. Trevor's my best customer here tonight. Go ahead, Trevor.
My very limited experience, long wire antennas will always give you a quieter noise floor. This is because they're just tuned for the frequency you're really operating on. Whereas random wire antennas, they're really not efficient on the your operating frequency. You're just kind of just tuning out tuning the impedance to match just where your radio wants to be. So actually having the wire tuned to the operating frequency will always give you the lower noise floor. That's my answer. I could be wrong. So back to you, K7TDR.
I totally agree with you there. Our experts might disagree, Trevor, but pretty much same way on UHF, VHF. You put up a big broadband array for VHF, especially if you're going to operate it running a repeater or something like that. I put one up a whole bunch of years ago. Big 4-pole array for VHF, and wide spaced and the whole 9 yards. And I ended up having to put 2 bandpass filters to narrow ahead of the 6-can duplexer. It just was so broadband, so you had to narrow it up before it went into the receiver. Anyway, Pat, I think maybe we caught one of your 2 questions. Good evening.
Appreciate it. It helped.
Alrighty, who else do we have here tonight with a amateur radio related question for us tonight? This is Dick, WB2JPQ. Well, a lot of key-ups, but nobody's got a question here tonight. I know everybody's probably missing Charles with all of his expertise on antennas. Hopefully he'll be back next week. But Ed, you could probably ask Charles the same question. You can see what he poses as an answer. Anybody else? Stations with an amateur radio related question here tonight.
For 1 November Yankee Sierra for G1NYX.
Well, it sounds like Stephen in the Philippines. Whatever time it is, they're good. I'm going to say good evening, Stephen. And what brought you to the East Coast Reflector? And answer our question, and we'll take a question from you. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks, Dick. WB2JPQ, this is 4G1NYX. Somebody back there doesn't know the art of letting go. Anyway, this is Steven from here in the Philippines. It is 23 minutes after 9 in the morning here. And my answer to your question, I discovered the East Coast Reflector from a recommendation from another operator 2 years ago. I completely forgot his name and call sign, but he was from Arlington, Virginia, if I'm not mistaken. That was 2 years ago. And then ever since, I tried out listening to the ECR, and it really works. Going in contacts and answering your questions every time through the Morning Brew, Usenet, and also the second cup when time permits. Anyway, my amateur radio related question, since the U.S. and other countries back there up north experience 4 seasons, does the changing of the seasons, such as autumn transferring to wintry weather conditions, also affect propagation, especially on those 40 meters or any other bands, the long distance ones? Thanks for the company, and I will wait for everybody's answer.
That's a great question, Stephen. First of all, thanks to the station in Virginia that sent you to the East Coast Reflector. been a welcome addition for the last couple of years, that's for sure. And I can speak for UHF and VHF. And when the foliage gets off the trees, many dB of improvement when the leaves get off the trees, which they're slowly doing here. Probably 90% of the leaves are off up here. We still got about 10%, I would say, that are 10 or 15% that are still on. But once the leaves get off on UHF, VHF, it certainly improves propagation. I think we measured as much as 18 dB in one case over a few years on UHF. Those are some pretty bad paths, but about 18 dB. That's a big number. That's a big number. But let's put it out to the group and see what they say. You specifically ask about 40 meters. So, who would like to answer Stephen's question on propagation during the 4 seasons on 40 meters? I think he just reminded me, I thought of it earlier. Randy, W2RBC just did a nice article in the last magazine, East Coast Reflector magazine, on just this question. So you might want to go and look it up. But let's see if we can find an answer. Who'd like to help Stephen out on their experience with propagation over the 4 seasons on 40 meters?
Take another swing at it, Dick. K7 TDR.
Check my connections tonight, Trevor. Maybe it's just you and me here tonight. Go ahead, trying to get people involved.
As the winter kind of starts setting in, we get a lot less sunlight. So, those upper bands, 10 meters, 6 meters, just doesn't play very nicely. That and just how cold the weather gets, we get a lot less sunlight and it gets pretty dark. And so, aside from it just being chilly outside, it's harder to operate those bands and the 10 and 6 meter, and sometimes even 20 meters is not cooperative. So that's really it from me. Back to you, Dick. K7 TDR.
We've had really good luck here the past, I guess, 3 or 4 weeks. On Saturday on our 40 meter net, bands have really been good. We've been able to pretty much hear just about everyone. It's at, 9 o'clock in the morning, so we've been doing pretty good. All right, there's your answer. There's one answer, Stephen. Hopefully that's what you wanted to hear. I'm going to listen and see if we have anybody else that has an amateur radio-related question. And don't hesitate, everybody, to text in 716-317-9050. As soon as we get done with the questions and answers, I'm going to turn it over to Roger, and he's going to take 10 text check-ins that are already populated on our list. Then we'll go to 10 radio check-ins and alternate throughout the evening that way. That's the new way that we've been doing business here on the East Coast Reflector, to get people in and out of here a little bit earlier and get right to the questions and get people checked in a little bit faster. Stations with an amateur radio-related question. This is Dick, WB2JPQ. Call signs twice.
Foxtrot Alpha Whiskey.
Well, I don't hear anything. It's too bad we don't have more questions tonight. Like I said, I think a lot of people saved up their antenna questions for Charles. I do hope he'll be back next week. He's on assignment, like I said, this week. There is one, Vic. Is that okay? Oh, there is one. Okay. Looks like Buddy from Lake City, Florida, KR4FAW. Good evening, Buddy. Looks like you're new to the system. Welcome.
Yeah, 10-4. This is a new radio, new antenna, and a new operator.
That's what we like. New operator, new radio, new everything. I don't know how new you are, but I see you do not have a current email address on your QRZ.com page, nor you might not even know what I'm talking about. But QRZ.com, there's a spot there that will list your call sign with your address, and in order to enable us to be able to send you a welcome letter from the system, which we do to all of our new users, you have to supply a current public email address on that page. Anyway, good evening to you, buddy. Tell us a little bit about Lake City, Florida. I can't remember, I've heard of it, but I can't remember whereabouts in Florida that is. My name is Dick, and I'm outside of Buffalo. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for talking to me today. Lake City is 45 miles north of Gainesville, right in the middle between Valdosta, Georgia, and Gainesville, Florida. That's rural country, and I'm not really in town. I'm kind of out in farmland with a little 30-foot tower, and I'm just new. I've got my technicians about 4 months ago, and my general about 3 months ago. And so it's all a new experience for me. This is the first time I've gotten into this East Coast net, I assume. I have gotten into it once or twice before with a handheld outside in the yard. But this radio here puts out 50 watts. So, and I've got a 30-foot tower with a antenna on it. And I hope this is something I can get into more often. My call sign was KR4 Fox Whiskey. I hope I got a Gmail address. It's BUDKUZYK, last name, gmail.com.
Don't take them over the air, buddy. You need to go into QRZ.com and set up an account and put a current email address in there. It's not only for us, but for anybody else that you talk to. You might want to, say hello after they talk with you and so forth and so on. I'm going to ask you, I see now you're coming in through the Gainesville repeater. I hadn't looked up to see how you're coming in, so you're 45 miles away. You're doing very good into that repeater. My question to you tonight and to everyone, buddy, is how did you find out about the East Coast Reflector? I think you probably pretty much answered it by listening to that Gainesville repeater. Am I not correct?
Roger. I joined the Gainesville Amateur Radio Club. That's where I took my general class license test, and they gave me a 3-year subscription. And I monitor in the mornings on my little handheld every morning when you have your 2, 7, and 8 o'clock shows, and I really appreciate that, and I enjoy listening to those.
Morning Grove, yeah, from 7 to 9, which reminds me, I've been on Wednesday mornings for quite a number of years. I'm now moved to Friday mornings, going to be first up on Friday, so I got to remember I don't have to be down. Well, I'll be down here anyway, but I don't have to be up tomorrow on Wednesday. But I'll be here Friday morning, and then we'll do the second cup. Jeff's going to take the second hour as he always does, and then I'll be there for the second cup that Vicki and I do at 9 o'clock. And Bill is taking my first slot on Wednesday morning. Anyway, thanks for Bobby. Thanks for being with us, and welcome to Amateur Radio. I'm sure down the road you're going to have a lot of questions, but you know, like an old ham told me many decades ago, just keep your ears open, kid, and listen. He actually told me to take the cotton out of my ears and put it in my mouth for a couple of years and just listen. And I guess that's good advice to anybody. By listening, you gain an awful lot of knowledge. Who else do I have? Stations with amateur radio related questions here tonight. K5WHB. There's nothing on but a tone. Were you trying to get in here?
UA7JNF.
Get that off. It sounded like James in Portland, WA7JNF. Am I correct on that? Was Vicky's ears working tonight? WA7JNF from Portland. Do we have the call sign correct? Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, good evening, James. Looks like you're also new to the system, new to the net, new to the system. You do have an email address on your QRZ page, so our system will be sending you a welcome letter. If you've been listening, our question to everybody tonight is, what brought you to the East Coast Reflector? How did you find the East Coast Reflector? And you answer ours, and we'll take a question from you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the East Coast Reflector. I'm just using the Fong J-pole right now, 5 watts.
All right, I understand that you're working a repeater up there in Portland, and that's connected full-time, well, not quite full-time, probably 90% of the time to the East Coast Reflector, and that's how I'm talking to you, and that's how you're talking to me. So we'll just put you down that you don't know, that you picked your radio up, and all of a sudden you were there. So did you have a question for us tonight, James?
No, I just curious where you're located. Sounds like you're not on the East Coast, are you? Still?
Well, enough. They've moved Lake Erie in Buffalo. Yes, I am. I'm outside of Buffalo, New York. Small town called Eden, E-D-E-N, about 25 miles south of Buffalo.
Okay, I've been there a time or two. I'm just curious how come I'm picking you up out here on the West Coast.
Like I just said, the Portland repeater been with us probably for over 20 years. Has connected via IRLP, Internet Repeater Linking Project. and that goes into one of our hubs in Fenton, Michigan, and that goes out to Wilmington, North Carolina, and out to Texas and other places, and out to our All-Star hubs and so forth. And we're running probably about 400 connections here tonight. Numbers are down a little bit, but that's how you're doing it. Go to eastcoastreflector.com, eastcoastreflector.com, James, and you can read all about us and see the bubble chart, see who's connected and so forth and so on. So I'm going to move along. I'm going to see if anybody else has a question tonight. Any amateur radio related questions for the East Coast Reflector Tech Net? Call signs twice. This is Dick, WB2JPQ.
Kilo Quebec 4 Golf Whiskey Oscar. Kilo Quebec 4 Golf Whiskey Oscar.
William, I remember you, Wake Forest, North Carolina. KQ4GWO. Good evening, William. Same goes for you. How did you find the East Coast Reflector?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Net Control, and good evening to everybody that's on the net. Well, basically, I was wet behind the ears, man. Kind of just got my license, and I was trying to learn some things, and heard about you guys on YouTube, and I went to the number 2 East Coast Reflect, and lo and behold, it was a Tech Net. Me not knowing anything, I said, hey, I think I better keep up, and that was that. As far as the question is, when it comes to logging, can I log neck log when I use Echolink?
Well, we do not use NetLogger. Don't confuse our system with NetLog, but yes, you can text in, absolutely. You can text in 716-317-9050 for any mode, whether it be digital or analog, or of course, Echolink. So, yep, you certainly can. Just text your call sign and only your call sign, and you will get a confirmation back from us. Okay?
Let me try to rephrase my question. Maybe I didn't phrase it right. Okay, I'm working in an area where, I pretty much can't put in no antennas, so most of my communication is done through Echolink. I mean, overseas, local, whatever the situation is. And I know there is a NetLogger where you can, log in your contacts. So I'm just saying, can you log in your contact? When you use Echolink, can you log that in as if you was contacting over the airways?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Vicky understood the question, but I didn't. I was thinking you were talking about texting in. Well, that's let me say this. It never counted for anything. If you actually talk to anybody, you have to talk RF, Echolink, and any of the VoIP contacts. To my knowledge, never counted for anything. But there was a gentleman on here the other day. I believe he was looking for Mississippi, and he says he's working some place that is accepting Echolink and VoIP contacts for some award. So he kind of proved me wrong, but let's put it out to the group and see what's out there. But it never, ever used to be counted for anything other than horseshoes. So let's see if anybody can come up and tell us perhaps what is out there that they give out certificates or something for a VoIP account. I guess nobody's going to tell us, William, but you might try Googling that, but I don't think, I mean, for DXCC or anything like that, no. It's not going to count. But hey, fun to work all states, put it in your logbook, say you worked all 50 states, but there might be something out there that will give you a piece of paper to hang on your wall for a VoIP contact, but I'm not aware of it.
Okay, thank you, Net Control. My question was answered. I didn't think so either. I mean, I need to put my big old antenna up and kind of do some serious HF and do some real broadcasting, no doubt about it. All right, thank you once again. This is Kilo Quebec 4 Golf Whiskey Oscar. I'm clear. 73s.
We always say throw a piece of wire out and have fun. Sometimes people over-engineer things. All right, we'll take one more amateur radio related question, and I'm going to send it over to Roger and let him take some check-ins here. Anybody else tonight with an amateur radio related question? Well, hearing nothing, I guess it's all yours. I'll see everybody Friday morning instead of tomorrow morning. Thanks everybody for riding along with us for a while tonight. And like I said, I think hope Charles will be back next week for all those important and in-depth antenna questions that so many have. Over to you, Roger. This is Dick, WB2JPQ.
Thanks, Dick. Easy going night, and take it easy on your throat. It's good we'll hear from you Friday. And thanks, Vicky, for logging KE8VKY. And this is KO4QMM, Roger, in Central Florida. And if you're just now hearing this for the first time, it is the East Coast Reflector Tech Net night. We're here every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Check out eastcoastreflector.com. You'll see what we're all about. And Wednesday is open mic night. That's always fun. You'll see that in there too. Thursday, 20 meter net, 10 a.m., 14.317. Always a good time. Friday, youth net, 8 p.m. That's always good. Get kids involved. And that's it. We're going to do with text check-ins, and let me start from the bottom here. Hold a second. All right, we got Ron, Baytown, Texas, NOXRG. We got Fred, Reno, Nevada, K7FPS. Glenn Burnie, Maryland, EN3LLY. We got W2RBC, Randy West, Seneca, New York. K6AAN, Mike, Valley Springs, California. Sal, Cheektowaga, New York, W2SAL. WA2UUS, Joel, Buffalo, New York. KK4SED, Les, Claremont, Florida. KA8BYU, Roy, Blaisdell, New York. And KD2JPP, Bob, Gallatin, Tennessee. Good evening to you, Bob. And what brought you to the East Coast Reflector?
Hey, good evening, Roger, and everybody else on the net. I believe it was October of 2015. I had just gotten into the ham radio, and I used to live in Weehawken, New Jersey, which is right across from Manhattan. And I had my choice of repeaters at the time. And working off a handheld, I was very lucky. I happened to hit the one that was connected to the East Coast Reflector. And from there on, it's history. I've been, on the ECR for that long, but that's how I got connected to the ECR. So, nice and send it right back to you. Hope everybody has a great night.
All
Awesome, Bob. Thanks for joining us this evening. And yeah, I had the GMRS license, and I was very bored with that, listening to the Handy Talk, and picked up the Claremont repeater. And I heard this kid that was 15 years old got his technician license, and they were all having fun talking all over the United States and stuff. And I found out and went to the Zoom room. So, end of story. All right, let's move on to Roy. Good evening, Roy Blaisdell. Oh, did I hit, yeah, Roy Blaisdell, New York, KABYU. Good evening, Roy.
On the Tech Net, KA8BYU. Yeah, a few years ago I had the radio on scan, and it locked onto one of the frequencies that carries the ECR Tech Net, and I was like, oh, this is interesting, so I listened for a while and then jumped in, and figured, yeah, this is definitely something I definitely like. And then they did the morning brew and a bunch of the other stuff, and I've been around ever since. Back to you.
QSL Roy, good story there. And yeah, I didn't go straight to the Zoom room. I had to study for quite a while and got my technician license, and then I went in and found my way around. Thanks for joining us tonight, Roy. Sound good? Let's move on to Les, Claremont, Florida, KK4 SED. What brought you to the Reflector, Les?
Yeah, it's my good friend Gene, KN4VF, my late friend Gene, got me involved about 11 years ago. Been at it ever since, so sure miss that fellow. KK4 SED, back to net.
Thank you for joining us this evening, and let's move on to Joel, Buffalo, New York, via text line, WA2UUS. Good evening, Joel.
And everyone else on the net. Answer the question tonight. About 13, 14 years ago, I was about ready to retire, and I was looking to get back into ham radio. I had a novice license, and I started to attend some local clubs and join, and people were telling me about handhelds, which was a whole new thing to me, and I started messing around, and fortunately, as luck would have it, I hit the repeaters that Dick set up, and on one of the QSOs, Dick was there, and he was somewhat my Elmer on IRLP. He introduced me to it, and I found out about the net, the Tech Net, and it's been a real learning experience and got me really going. And I thank Dick. I hope he's feeling better. And that's how I got tied in with the Tech Net, which I try not to miss. I learn every time I listen. I wish everyone a nice week ahead. Be well and be safe. Thank you, Roger, and thank you, Vicky.
Well, thank you, Joel, and you have a wonderful evening. And yeah, I'm glad I found it too. Not that I like to talk a lot or anything, but it was also during COVID, and man, that was one way to get out there and talk to people. Thanks. Let's move on to Sal, Cheektowaga, New York, W2SAL, also in the Zoom room. Good evening, Sal.
Good evening there, Roger and the Zoom crew. It was a local repeater that I got into. I was building a copper J pole, and the Godfather himself was on frequency and told me I had a squeal, and we worked through it, and I've been hooked ever since. So you're talking, what, 15 years ago, thereabouts? So with that, I'll send it back to net control. W2, SA all clear.
Yeah, the Godfather gets into a lot of this. And yeah, he caught me a couple times. I was cross-banding and stuff on the repeater, and good thing he's there, always keeping an eye on things. It was funny. Let's move on to Mike, Valley Springs, California, K6AAN. Good evening, Mike, and what brought you to the Reflector?
Well, good evening, Roger, and everybody on the net. Well, about 6 years ago, I purchased a clear node, so now I had access to All-Star. And I went out Googling around trying to find some good nets on All-Star. This is one of the first ones that came up, so got on there and listened and checked in, and I've been coming back ever since. And definitely try to spread the word around the couple of clubs that I belong to. People have bought nodes and gotten into this Reflector, and even through SIP phones and the whole 9 yards. So it's definitely a growing thing around North Central California here where I live. So we enjoy it, and we sure appreciate you guys that commitment. Anyway, we'll wish everyone 7-3, and we'll pass it back to you, Roger. This is K6AAN.
You have a wonderful night there in Valley Springs, California, Mike, and thanks for joining us all the time, or when you can. And this is Roger in Central Florida, KO4QMM. I'm your net controller for the Tuesday Night Tech Net, and our question is, what brought you to the East Coast Reflector? Let's move on to my buddy here, W2RBC. Good evening, Randy.
Good evening, Roger, Dick, Vicky, and everyone on the TechNet. I can't remember exactly how I got involved in ECR. The only thing I remember was receiving a text that said, "See you in the ECR." After that, ECR became a major part of my life. Back to net control, 73 to all, W2, RBC.
Thanks, Randy. Yeah, it doesn't take much, and maybe we'll hear somebody that made their way 20-meter net. That'd be cool, huh? Or the 40-meter net. Thanks again. Let's move on to Glen Burdy, Maryland. N3LLY. Good evening, Glenn.
Good evening, everybody. Roger. Thank you, and thank you, Dick, and thank you, Vicky, for everything you all do to make ECR the best. Well, Roger, how it started for me was, since I don't have any repeaters close by within reach, I was tuning around the dial on 2 meters, and just happened to come across a really nice ducting mission. So that was my first check-in about 2 to 3 years ago. And listened on Echolink for quite a while, but wasn't really happy with the sound quality. So now I've got a hotspot here, and I'm coming through on Fusion. So now I can actually sit here with the radio in my hand and talk on ECR. Back to you, Roger.
Oh yeah, isn't it nice having a couple different ways? I have my dual band Kenwood here, and I have the repeater on backup, and right now I'm using my Node for with All-Star. So yeah, it's great to just move along in the hobby. Thanks again. Let's move on to Fred, Reno, Nevada, K7FPS. Good evening, Fred.
Good evening, Roger and Vicky, and I hope you're feeling better, Dick. K7FPS. I'm just looking at the logging, and repeater would be my answer for this. I bought couple of UV5Rs after I was licensed and, well, before I was licensed, and programmed in the frequencies and put it on scan, and then I said, now I got to transmit through a 220 repeater that's about 8 miles away from me, and that has added to my collection of radios. Anyway, thank you for doing the net. K7FPS, back to net.
Thank you, Fred. Have a wonderful night there in Reno, Nevada. Let's move on to Ron, Baytown, Texas. NOXRG. Good evening, Ron, and what brought you to the Reflector?
Run the net. Thanks, Vicki, and all that are involved.
Vicky might have got something more than me, but all I got there, Ron, was good evening, Roger and Vicky, I think. Would you come on back? All right, that's the end of the text messages. Now we're going to move on to radio check-ins. Anybody, anywhere, and Miss Vicky will be doing the logging, so try to come twice and slowly.
Kilo 2, Charlie Mike Tango, K2 CMT.
Oh, Juliet 4, Uniform, Foxtrot Whiskey, Orville, Titusville, Florida.
N2BH, N2BH. KQ4DLY, KQ4DLY.
November 4, Romeo Hotel Echo. November 4, Romeo Hotel Echo.
Negative. Please check. Keep 4, go Foxtrot Lane.
I may have doubled with someone. This is 9Y4DX. 9 Yankee 4. Delta X-ray, Bertrand.
R4GFL, Justin, Cameron, North Carolina. N4RHE, Roger, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. NY4DX, Bertrand, Trinidad. ZS2EC, Tom, Port Elizabeth. KQ4LG, oh boy, he's up there, Raj. KQ4GLY, Chris, Parish, Florida. N2BH, Bill, Palmyra, New York. KJ4UVW, Orville, Titusville, Florida. And top of the list, K2CMT, Mike DeBerry, Florida, my neighbor. What brought you to the Reflector, Mike?
Good evening, Roger, and everyone on the crew. I had got a new, 10 years ago, I got a brand new spanking shiny Bofang as my first radio, and I programmed it off of a repeater book with all of the repeaters in my general area. And while scanning one day, I heard some traffic on what turned out to be the East Coast Reflector. so I threw my call sign out. And I got a personal reply back from Dick, WB2JPQ. He was just down the road from me. I didn't know it at the time, but he was just down the road a mile and a half, wintering out in Florida back in those days. And I got a personal invitation to coffee, Dunkin' Donuts, and that was the beginning of my ham career in late life, and couldn't have been a better contact. This is Kilo 2, Charlie Mike Tango.
And that's a great story, Mike, and look at all the friends you've made around him since. So it's good to make your acquaintance, too. I had a lot of fun playing radio and learning from you in the Zoom room. Let's move on to Orville, Titusville, Florida, KJ4 UFW. Good evening, Orville.
Good evening. This is my first time on this net, and a friend of mine gave me this frequency, how to get onto the East Coast Reflector. I'm a ham operator. I've been a ham now for 15 years now, and you might know him. His name was Walter. His call sign was KE4NTG. He's in Hollywood, Florida, and he told me all about it, so I looked it up on the internet, and here I am on the East Coast Reflector. That's how I heard about you, and it's really nice. I'm used to talking around the world on reflectors through my computer for the last 10 years and so I decided, he told me about the East Coast. I said, okay, that's new. I'll get on it. So here I am. So yeah, I've been a ham now for 15 years. I hold a general license. Everybody tells me I should get my extra. I'm working on it. I might do that. All right, back to the net controller. This is Kilo Juliet 4, Uniform Foxtrot Whiskey.
Another awesome story. Thanks, Orville, for checking us out. And do check out EastCoastReflector.com. You'll see what we're all about. And it'd be fun to check you out on the 20-meter net. You can talk to my buddy Randy. Is up in West Seneca, New York. And I'm sure he'd pick you up on the 20-meter net Thursday morning, 10 a.m., 14.17. That'd be pretty cool. So thanks for joining us. Let's move on to another net controller here. Bill, Palmar, New York, N2BH. And this is KO4QMM, Roger in Central Florida. Good evening, Bill.
Good evening, Roger, Vicky, everybody. Sounding good? Actually, the Morning Brew brought me to the East Coast Reflector. I was licensed in 2021, and I could hear it on a repeater in Rochester, but I couldn't quite reach it, and I ended up getting a node and connected through All-Star, and it was a nice, simple way to get on the radio and check in and answer the question and get a little more comfortable with radio. And then I went to one of the first meet and greets, and they did a pop-up net, and Dick threw me in the hot seat, and a couple weeks later I got an email asking if I'd be interested to sub, and 2.5 years later I'm still here, N2BH.
What a sub you turned out to be. Yeah, I remember meeting you down at Hamcation and Mike, and it's always fun meeting people down there too. So thanks, Bill, for joining us. And Orville, you ought to check out the Morning Brew too. Every morning at 7 a.m. They always have a good, real important question too that you got to answer. So we'll see you there. Thanks again, Bill. Move on to Chris, Parrish, Florida, KQ4GLY. Good evening, Chris. What brought you to the Reflector?
Good evening, Roger, and everyone on the net. I found the East Coast Reflector. I was just programming my handheld, and I picked up a repeater out of Treasure Island, Florida, and I was listening, but it was a little too far for me to reach with my handheld. So I bought a clear node, and I've been here ever since.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us, Chris. You have a wonderful evening, too. Let's move on to Tom, Port Elizabeth, ZS2EC. Good evening, Tom.
Good evening, Roger. Yeah, my memory is, I've got to go and look in my logbook when I started on the East Coast Reflector, and we had the IRLP active here on one of the local repeaters here, but they've taken it off the air, I think 2 years ago, and I think my first and my second contact was with Whiskey Bravo 2, Juliet Papa Queen. I'm not quite sure. I'm going to go and look at my old logbooks, 10 or 12 or 13 years ago, and see who I made my first contact with, and I enjoyed it. And since then, the RLP has been taken off the air, and I'm using Echolink for that purpose now. So that's about it. Back to you there, Roger.
Thank you, Tom, and we've appreciated you being there all the time. And do believe you've been in the Zoom room before. It might have been a while. All right, let's move on to my buddy Bertrand from Trinidad and Tobago, 9Y4DX. Look at that. This time I said 9Y4DX. I got it right. Good evening, Bertrand.
Well, a pleasant evening to you, Net Control, Roger. KO4QMM, this is 9Y4DX, Bertrand. Yes, my location, Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean. Let me say a pleasant evening to all of the stations on the East Coast Reflector Tech Net this evening. Hope everyone is doing well and staying warm. Well, with respect to the question, actually how I found the East Coast Reflector was that I had downloaded the Echolink and I started looking around at the net. I started requesting nets that I could get into, and one of the suggestions was WB2JPQ, and I looked it up and I found the East Coast Reflector. And since I got in, I have continued checking into the net every Tuesday evening as is possible. Well, that's it from me. Have a pleasant evening. Thanks to all, and catch you again later. Back to you, Net Control, KO4QMM. This is 9Y4DX.
Yes, sir. You have been a regular. That's 106 times, I think, if my eyes are correct. And we thank you, Bertrand. Even when you go on vacation, you check in. Thanks again. Let's move on to N4RHE, also known as the other Roger, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Roger, what brought you to the Reflector?
KO4QMM, good evening, Roger. You sound good. From the Roger, November 4, Roma Chaleco. I was scanning the frequencies, don't recall if it was V or UHF, and heard the Tech Net. I checked in as a new user and asked my question all in one go, and was promptly admonished by the Godfather. I received a welcome letter, perhaps it was before the welcome letter existed. The ECR and all the great operators of the morning brew has become a welcome addition to my day to start my day. November 4, Roger Ham Enthusiast. Many years to come.
Always enjoy listening to your answers, Roger. Thanks for coming along and have a wonderful evening. Let's move on to Justin, Cameron, North Carolina, KR4GFL. Good evening, Justin.
Good evening. I hope everybody's doing well. I'm really new ham. I got my license back about 2 months ago, maybe 3 months ago. Started playing with some DMR, and I found my way to this Reflector by watching my TGIF active groups, and just started listening to it, and I chimed in one time and found out y'all have nets, and I love it, and I like coming in and checking in and hearing everybody talk. I might sit back in the background and listen, but it's a good time, and I appreciate everybody for what they do.
Thanks for joining us, Justin. And yeah, the holidays come along on a Monday or something like that, and you're like, oh man, what do I do now? No morning brew. Thanks for joining us. That's the end of that list. This is KO4QMM, Roger in Central Florida. And if you just happen to pop in and hear us, this is the East Coast Reflector Tuesday night Tech Net. And check out eastcoastreflector.com. You'll see what we're all about. Different nets. And we got some text check-ins. Let me go through them, and then we'll call some radios to come on in and join us. Bottom of the list up, K4ITA Leo, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. W2EM Chuck, Lancaster, New York. KI5PMI Bill, Hobbs, New Mexico. EDS Mark, Elma, New York. KD3BXJ Martin, Milford, PA. All right, any radio check-ins, in and outs, mobile, come with what you got, but do it slowly for Vicky.
Kilo Mike 7 Bravo India Oscar KN7BIO JC out of Mesa, Arizona. Delta 6 Charlie Whiskey India KD6CWI. Good evening.
N5 GCQ. WJ8E, Whiskey Juliet 8 Echo. W2KJV, W2KJV.
November 6 Delta Tango. November 6 Delta Tango.
Kilo Foxtrot 8, Echo Victor Victor. Alright, I think we got a nice little list there. Thanks everybody for joining in. And let's go from the bottom up. KF8EVE, Mario, Michigan. N6DT, Richard, California. W2KJV, Tony, Homosassa, Florida. WJ8E, Jerry, Oregon, Ohio. N5GCG, Charles, Porter, Texas. Got that one out. And then we got Ruben, KD6CWI, Fallbrook, California. KM7BIO, JC, Mesa, Arizona. K4I, oh, we already did those. Let's go to the top of that line where the text check-in's there. KD3BXJ, Martin, Milford, PA. What brought you to the Reflector, Martin?
That was for me. It was hard to hear. I've got a bunch of reception issues from whatever's going on. Brought me to Tech Net was just
found it something to listen to on the way to work, and well, Tech Net, but something to listen to on the way to work, and then place to ask questions in the evening. KQ4 VYQ, back to net.
You have a good evening there. Thanks for joining us this evening. Let's move on to Mark, Elma, New York. KE2EDS. Good evening, Mark.
What brought me to the ECR was about a year ago, actually October 1st of last year. I got my license back, and I wasn't doing a whole lot. My brother-in-law recommended me to the ECR, and ever since, I've had a great time. I check in virtually every morning and try to catch evening nets as much as possible. Now I got to get my brother-in-law back involved because I never see him on any of the nets. Hope to see everybody tomorrow night, open mic night, 8 p.m. Hope to see you then. KE2EDS, back to the net.
Thanks for joining us, Mark, and have a great evening. Let's move on to Bill, Hobbs, New Mexico, KI5PMI. Good evening, Bill.
Good evening, Roger, everybody on the net. The way I found the Reflector was our local repeater keeps to it 24/7, so that's how I found out about it. And then I got on it, talked, and someone, I don't remember if it was Dick or Vicky or someone, sent me a email with all the information on it and stuff, so that's how I found even more information about it. So that's how I found it. Hope everybody has a good night. KI5PMI. Back to net.
Yep, another good story. Thanks, Bill, for joining us. And, man, yeah, I ended up getting my antenna up high enough, higher than the roof. And I picked up Claremont Repeater, which is, man, almost 30 miles away. And it worked out good. But there's another closer one that's probably like 7 miles. And I use that one now. Thank goodness they came along. Let's move on to Chuck, Lancaster, New York. WEN. Good evening, Chuck.
Roger, Vicky, Dick, the rest of the crew here. First time I got on East Coast Reflector, I was in a parking lot. My wife was in shopping, and I was sitting out there, and I was on the radio and scanning around, and I picked up East Coast Reflector, and I started listening to it. They were calling for like new users, you know, people that were never on before, so I jumped in there, and that was the start of it. So then, when I go down to Florida for the season, there's no local repeaters around. I used to get on Echolink, but now I have a clear node, so it all works really good. So anyway, I'll turn it back to net control. Everyone have a good night. W2EM.
No doubt, Chuck, and it was good meeting you a couple times so far at Hamcation. Hopefully we can continue that. And it's always good to hear from you on the Thursday morning 20-meter net with your hex beam. I kind of miss that when you come down to Florida. So thanks for always being there. Let's move on to Leo, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, K4ITA. Good evening, Leo. What brought you to the Reflector?
Good evening, Roger, Vicky, everybody. Good evening from Fort Lauderdale. Well, a bit more than a year ago, I finally put back my Anytone handle on my car, and I tune on W4 MOT just in case, and I hear a net. It was the morning brew. was like 9 o'clock, no, 8:30 or something. I said, oh my God, what is this? So I went online and I checked, and that's the only morning brew I got addicted to. But I like all the other nets. Tech Net, I love the Trivia Net. We own a small pizza place in Fort Lauderdale, and on Saturday I leave early. I leave my son working in the pizza place, so I'm time to do the Trivia Net. And now I'm working to get ready for the HF nets. I have my antenna ready. Sorry for the long passage. This is K488, back to net. Everybody, great night.
You're not the only one that looks forward to those early morning questions. Thanks for joining us. You have a wonderful evening. Let's move on to, that was the end of the text check-ins. This is the radio check-ins. JC, Mesa, Arizona, KM7BIO. Good evening. Might have been our first in and out. Are you there? Mesa, Arizona, KM7BIO. Alright. He's a hit and miss. Let's move on to Ruben, Fallbrook, California, KD6CWI. Good evening, Ruben. What brought you to the East Coast Reflector, my friend?
This is KD6CWI, Ruben in Fallbrook, operating on 878 Anytone through my Zoom spot, connecting to Pi-Star on DMO to TGIF. So I'm transmitting on TGIF, and initially I was transmitting on my Quanchang UV5K8 through the Exumer firmware, linking to my All-Star node. And I'm pretty sure my initial audio was different from this one because this is coming into TGIF. First of all, thank you for doing the net. It's a pleasure to be here on the ECR net, technical net, tonight. And stay safe, stay healthy, enjoy life, and God bless everyone and their families. 73 KD6CWI.
Thanks for all the flowers there, Ruben, and I knew you'd come back to my question because that was your 100th check-in there. So happy 100th. Hope you have a wonderful evening. Let's move on to Charles, Porter, Texas, N5GCQ. Good evening, Charles.
Good evening, Dick, and to everyone on the net. Now I was listening to one of the local repeaters out of the Woodlands, which is not too far from Porter, and I can hit it really good. It's a great repeater, so, and I was just listening, and the East Coast Reflector is, he's got it connected permanently over there, I think, so we really enjoy it. I've talked to a couple people different times on the Reflector. I think I've even made one over there to the Europe side once, but I'd have to go back and look at the log. But no, it's a great reflector, and I'm really enjoying all the nets, and I look forward to a lot more over the year. I've only been on the net on the East Coast Reflector listening to it for the last couple of months. So back to the net, and good evening to everybody, and happy Thanksgiving if I don't talk to anybody between now and then. N5GCQ from Porter, Texas.
Yeah, I don't understand some of them big, beautiful repeaters out there that don't have the East Coast Reflector on them. They're just kind of boring and dusty most of the time. So There's that. I got that off my chest. Thanks for joining us, Charles. You have a wonderful evening. This is KO4QMM in Central Florida, and you're listening to the East Coast Reflector Tuesday Night Tech Net. Check out eastcoastreflector.com. You'll see what it's all about. Let's move on to Jerry, Oregon, Ohio, WJ8E. Good evening, Jerry, and what brought you to the Reflector?
Was one of those repeater owners that had a dusty one sitting around doing nothing much at all. And Ben, K8BWK, was doing some phone work for me at the TV transmitter where I was working. And he saw I had a repeater there, and he said, "Hey, have you heard about the ECR?" I said, "No." He says, "Well, you can link up to it, and you'll be busy." So like a repeater I went to your website, listened to it for a couple days, and found out how moderated it was and how it was not free for all. And I got a hold of Dick, and he got me connected up with the ECR through my IRLP node, and it's been going strong for close to 2 years now, I think. I've lost track as to how long I've had it. And since then, Ben has put his repeater up on the air, and he takes care of the west side of Toledo, and I take care of the east side. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Thanks for doing all that. This is WJD.
Well, speaking of dust, K8BWK, I haven't heard him for a while. Thanks for joining us there, Jerry, and have a wonderful evening. Let's move on to Tony, Homosassa, Florida, W2KJV. Good evening, Tony.
KO4QMM, this is Tony, W2KJV. About 15 years ago, I was out of the radio world for like 15 years, and it was about 9 years ago. I was checking my equipment out and seeing if it still worked, and lo and behold, I heard a guy from Florida talking, and so I broke in there. I said, "Oh, this system must be RF linked down to Florida." I go, "That's quite a feat." And then some guy from a ham from Australia got on there, and I'm there like, "Whoa, this is really amazing." And then a few minutes later, Dick WB2JPQ got on there and said, he said, "This is the East Coast Reflector, and if you have an email on QRZ, I'll send you a letter telling you all about it." And I said, "Yeah, I do." And then I went and checked, and I didn't. So then I put my email in, and I got a message from Dick, and that's my story. Hope everyone has a great evening. This is W2KJV. Back to you, Roger.
Thank you, Tony. And Tony is one of the facilitators here at East Coast Reflector. Thank you for all you do, my friend. Have a wonderful evening. Let's move on to N6DT. Richard from Lodi, California. What brought you to the Reflector, Richard?
Oh, good evening, everybody. This is Rick N6DT. Actually, there's a gentleman who is from Valley Springs, California, K6AAN, who's kind of my digital Elmer. And I got into the Reflector as a result of his letting me know about a bunch of things, and got me into All-Star, got a clear node, and also I now run DMR system out of Bridgecom, both the Raspberry Pi, and I use a 878 UV2, and that's all just in the house here. But I really enjoyed it, and I actually checked into the brew crew the other day, although I got to tell you, that is so dark 30 in the morning for me here. But all that being said, just nice, and so Mike told me about the Tech Net, and here I am. So this is Rick N6DT, back to the group.
Thanks, Rick. You have a wonderful night. Another success story. And the bottom of the list, we have Mario from Livonia, Michigan. I do believe KF8EVV. Good evening, Mario.
For browsing through.
No copy, my friend, no copy. We want to try again? Got some technical difficulties there, Houston. Work at them, maybe we can get you back. Thanks for joining us. KF8EVV, Mario. That's the end of that list. Anybody else that would like to join in the East Coast Reflector Tuesday Night Tech Net? This is KO4QMM, Roger in Central Florida. Our question of the night is, what brought you here? What brought you to the Reflector? Come with your call signs, twice and slow.
King George 7, George Benny, Lincoln. King George 7, George Benny, Lincoln, in Portland.
K4 Fox X-Ray Charlie, K4 FXC David.
KC0 BBF, KC0 BBF, Metro Nebraska.
Kilo Charlie 3, Foxtrot Golf Delta. Kilo Charlie 3, Foxtrot Golf Delta.
Anybody else like to join in and out too are welcome. Come with your call sign.
Kilo Juliet 7, Sierra Hotel Delta, Aloha, Oregon.
Kilo 7, November Yankee Charlie, Kilo 7, November Yankee Charlie, Doug in Fairview, Oregon.
This is Kilo Bravo 2, Uniform Delta Bravo, KB2 UDV.
Kilo Juliet 5, Mike Mike Sierra, Kilo Juliet 5, Mike Mike Sierra, Jerry in Alvin, Texas, in and out.
November 3, Tango Juliet Kilo, N3 TJK, Tim in Pasadena, Maryland, in and out.
Now, 73s.
That last one there, in and out, 7-3 is all we got. Maybe Vicky got it, but try to come back again.
Kilo India 4, November Hotel Papa. Kilo India 4, November Hotel Quebec. KI4 NHP, KI4 NHQ. Boyce and Karen, in and out.
All right, we got you that time. In Pine Flats, Tennessee, KI4NHQ, and Boyce, Piney Flats, Tennessee, KI4NHP, both in and out. Thank you both for joining us. We got Tim Pasadena, Maryland, N3TJK, in and out. Thanks, Tim. We got KJ5MMS, Jerry, Alvin, Texas, in and out. Thanks, Jerry. And we got Stephen, Youngsville, North Carolina, K4BQBH. We got KB2UDB, Mike, Sebring, Florida, W2CGM, Charles, Selden, New York, in and out. And KK7NYC, Doug, Fairview, Oregon. KJ7SHD, Eric, Beaverton, Oregon. KC3FGD, Ray, Elizabeth, Pennsylvania, Elizabethtown, Pennsylvania. And Steve, KCO-BBF, Lincoln, Nebraska. K4FXC, David, Wilmington, North Carolina. Top of the list, George, Portland, Oregon. KG-BBL, good evening, George. And what brought you to the Reflector?
See what's going on the radio. We have lots of repeaters, but nobody's on them. But this one. That's why I came here and taught. And I like this one. We got a lot of people talking all day long. So I'm retired and need to do something around here. All they do is talk on the radio on this channel here. And it's back to you, 73.
Thank you. Have a great evening, and thanks. Let's move on to David, Wilmington, North Carolina, K4FXC. Good evening, David.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. It's K4FXC getting in here pretty late tonight. Just came in from another meeting, but man, it's been busy here for the last little while, but I think things are slowing down. At least it seems like that's the case. Of course, we're now getting into the holiday, but good to hear the good crowd on here tonight. And, well, I got involved with the East Coast Reflector. Oh, I'm trying to think how many years ago it's been. It's been the better part of a decade now, at least 7 or 8 years, 8 or 9 years, something like that. To help with the infrastructure, particularly on the All-Star side of things. But anyhow, everyone have a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday coming up here. And looking forward to the holiday season and maybe being a little slower. K4FXC back to net.
Oh, yeah, you must have told them the, Tuesday night Tech Net was on, and that's the best way to get out of work. They know how important that is. Thanks for joining us. Let's move on to Steve, Lincoln, Nebraska, KCO-BBF. Good evening, Steve.
Good evening there, Roger. Rest of that KCO-BBF. Not much going on here. I got started in the ECR. A friend of my buddy here told me about the repeater here, so I got on it, said hello and stuff like that, and then got into DMR and just been discovering the Zoom room, trying to see you guys in the afternoon. So I've been enjoying it ever since. Have a good holiday. KC0BBF.
You have a great evening too, Steve. Thanks for joining us, and always good to see you in the Zoom room too, and have a laugh or two. This is KO4QMM. Let's move on to Ray, Elizabethtown, PA, KC3FGD. Good evening, Ray.
Hey, good evening, Roger. Yeah, I happen to be one of the original check-ins on the morning brew. Somehow I was listening to the 2 meters on the Manchester repeater, and somebody had brought it up right about the time that it was created, and I just happened to check in there. And of course, from that point on, I discovered everything else that's on the Reflector. So that's how I got started. Everyone have a great evening. Back to net control.
And Ray, you're part of what makes it great. It's always good to hear your stories in the morning, heading to the wood shop, the garden, and haven't heard bowling in a while, but you've been a busy man. It's always good to hear what you're up to. Thanks for joining us. Let's move on to Eric Beaverton, Oregon. KJ7SHD. Good evening, Eric.
Hello, this is Eric, KJ7SHD. I got into the hobby through surf, and then a bunch of life stuff happened, and I got out of it. And what brought me to this net was I hear you guys all the time, and tonight I was sitting here and heard you guys talking, and decided to check in. Happened to tune in at the right time. And happy to be here as soon as I start being here. Back to net.
Well, glad you did, and have a wonderful night. Thanks for joining us again. Let's move on to Doug, Fairview, Oregon, KK7NYC. Good evening, Doug, and what brought you to the Reflector?
Evening, everybody. I think I was putting repeaters in the Portland area in, and all of a sudden, I think I heard the Alaska Morning Net, and so that's how I found the repeater, or the ECR. It's gonna get cold here tonight in Fairview, I think. We're just east of Portland a little bit. It's gonna be down to maybe in the high 30s. That's crazy. Anyway, hey, thanks for picking me up. Thanks for doing that, and have a super Thanksgiving. KK7NYC.
You do the same, Doug. Thanks for joining us. Let's move on to Mike Sebring to UDB. Good evening, Mike.
Good evening, Roger, Vicky, and everybody else listening on the net. Well, I'm going to tell you what brought me out here to the Coast Reflector. It's all the information that you can imagine out here. All these different nets that they have on this here East Coast Reflector. A lot of information to be shared, mentoring going on, programs that they have going on, Zoom room, you name it. This place has it all. One-stop shop. So that's why I keep coming back to the East Coast Reflector. They have it all, and we want to mention it to everybody out there so that they can tell their friends and stop in and see what they have to offer. And with that, as well as sharing, with that, we'll say 7-3 to everyone. Have a good holiday if we don't hear you on here. God bless one and all. This is KB2UDB visiting upstate New York. We're looking to come back home to Florida. We'll talk to you later. Back to Net Control. Thanks for doing that there, Roger. KB2UDB, we'll be clear.
Thank you, Mike, and that was very good there. Pretty much media, everything in there. So, yep, I enjoy everything. They keep you busy. So, thanks again. Let's move on to Stephen, Youngsville, North Carolina, KE4QBH. Good evening, Stephen. Might not have waited there. He was at the bottom here. You there, Stephen? KE4QBH. Dadgum, I was doing pretty good there with the drive-bys. I only really had one. Have a good evening, Stephen. There, pizza guy might have came along or something. All right, that's the end of another bottom list there. Anybody else that'd like to join us, answer the question evening, come with your call sign. In and outs and mobiles, welcome.
AF4UFL, Wilson, North Carolina.
4-5
Foxtrot Hotel Echo.
KN4GIE, North Carolina.
KJ4 ZFM, Kilo Jupiter 4, Zulu Foxtrot Michael.
Alright, we got a few there. KJ4ZFM, Robert, Deltona, Florida. Not really sure. We got a 4GIE, something like that.
Kilo November 4, Tango India Echo.
Kilo November 4, Tango November Echo. Alright, I think we got you that time. Paul, Dallas, Georgia, I think it is. KR4FAE, Don, Nashville, Tennessee. And top of the list, Christopher, Leland, North Carolina, KF4UFL. Good evening, Christopher. What brought you to the East Coast Reflector, QSL? How about you, Christopher? Are you there? KF4UFL. Well, it says you're new. We'll put you in and out. Thanks for joining us, and hope you come back to check us out on some other stuff. Check out eastcoastreflector.com. You'll see what it's all about. Let's move on to Don, Nashville, Tennessee. KR4FAG. You there, Don? I don't remember hearing them say in and out. You there, Don? KR4FAG. Yeah, I think we're winding down here tonight. Let's go to KN4TNE. Are you there? Paulding from Dallas, Georgia.
It was KN4TIE, Kilo November 4, Tango India Echo, Graham, North Carolina. And I was in and out, but thank you, sir. Appreciate what you do.
QSL, my friend, we got you in and out. Sorry about that, and thanks for joining us. Have a wonderful evening, Jordan. Let's move on to Robert, Deltona, Florida, KJ4ZFM. You there, Robert?
I actually was waiting, hopefully was waiting until the end. That was why I just came in. Good evening, everyone out there, and hope everyone's having a blessed evening so far. To answer that question, I just hope I don't get beat up tomorrow. But my friend KK4MOW over in City, Florida, I was already a member of another couple of other nets and whatever, but he told me to come in and check it out, and I've been here ever since and love it. Hope everyone has a blessed evening. Dick, Vicky, everyone else on the Brew Crew, thank you guys for what you guys do. KJ4ZFM.
Well, thanks for joining us, Robert. You have a wonderful evening. Well, that pretty much closes out East Coast Reflector Tuesday Night Tech Net. I appreciate everybody that showed up. I had a good time. I enjoyed the question just to find out how people found the Reflector out there, and a lot of good. So On behalf of Dick, WB2JPQ, Dickie did a wonderful job of logging, keeping me straight tonight. KY. And myself, KO4QMM, Roger in Central Florida to end the evening. This frequency now is back to normal amateur use. Everybody have a great evening. 7-3.
CWI system check on this particular radio.
Check, we got you. This is KG7 GBL.
Golf number 7, Golf Bravo Lima. Thank you for the comeback. Yeah, I was operating on TGIF and totally messed up this radio. I just want to make sure, it's working fine because it seems like it's on and off, and that's why I wanted to check. Please confirm the call sign if I copied it correct. KG7GBL, KD6CWI, Ruben in Fallbrook. Thank you.
King George 7, George Bravo, Lincoln in Portland, Oregon, down and we'll be standing by, 73 to you.
Roger, George. I got you in QRZ from Portland, Oregon, and I hope you have a wonderful evening, sir. It seems like the radio's working fine. It just got interrupted. I think I was TGIF. Yeah, I was using the Anytone. I was just pushing low watts on it. But it interfered with the Quanshang radio that I'm using right now, so it's working fine. I'll put you on the log, George. It's the first contact, and I hope you have a wonderful evening, sir. I'm looking forward in logging your station in a different band, in a different mode. Stay safe, stay healthy, enjoy life, and God bless. 73, KD6DWI.
73, we're gone. Thank you for comeback.
Okay, that last transmission
CWI,
K7FPS.
You there, Ruben?
Received here in the Quanshang, but it went to the FTM 400. Yeah, there might be still an issue. Thank you, George.
I'm always here. King George 7, George Bravo, Lincoln, Portland, Oregon, down or 33 to you.
I'll check on a different reflector on it, and thanks everyone for listening. KD6CWI.
KD6CWI, K7FPS.
K7FTS, good evening. Thanks for the comeback.
You didn't answer their question. Their question was, how were you introduced to the East Coast Reflector?
Roger, yeah, I was multitasking the station. I'm trying to recall. Somebody did. Oh, I know who did it. I think it was Ian, G3ZHI, Golf 3, Zulu Hotel, India. I think he was the one who introduced me to the East Coast Reflector. That was way back in 2020. My first initial check-in in the ECR. Sorry I missed that one. I was just contemplating on checking on the TGIF. Back to you.
I'm not criticizing you. You went down a rabbit hole of 5 different things that were connected together, but that wasn't the question. Anyway, just wanted to say hello. K7FPS, and I'll be listening.
KJ7, SAC, Kilo Juliet 7, Sierra Hotel Delta, listening.
K7 FTS, I think that's Fred from Reno. Sorry about that. I had to check into the other Aries net here locally in Fallbrook, and I had to make the announcement on the 10-meter net that I'm having tomorrow at Wednesday night. But thanks for reminding me about that one. Yeah, my brain was scattered. Tuesday night is a really busy night. There's like 3 or 4 nets coming at the same time.
Yeah, just thought I'd tell you. Anyway, K7FPS, I'll be clear and monitoring. Go ahead, break station or listening station.
That might be listening station meaning KJ7, SHC, Kilo Juliet 7. Correct that. 7, SHC, Juliet 7.
Kilo Juliet 7 station, you must be on a handy-talkie, but you're kind of barely making it. K7FPS, Fred in Reno. Try again.
Got the Reno part. I'm outside my driveway. Don't have a place to write things down. Which is KJ7, SHC, Kilo Juliet 7, Sierra Hotel Delta. How is your copy on that?
Well, it's a bit better. If you're on a handy-talkie, you got to keep that antenna pointed straight up and find the sweet spot.
7 FTS. K7 FTS, KD6CWI. Sorry about that. I got two radios here doing a feedback. KD6CWI.
Yeah, go ahead, Ruben.
Sure. Yeah, that station that you said that wasn't coming in 100%. It came in 100% on the FTM 400, but on the Quanchang, it was blanking. So I probably have to reset my notes. I just want to let you know that. Came in 100% on the 400, but on the Quanchang, ever since I hit that TGIF and I got the All-Star also connected, probably interfered with that Chinese radio. So, just to let you know. Back to you.
Well, keep in mind on the ECR, we all hear the same thing.
Roger, that's the wonder of the reflector. Nobody can beat it. I know that for a fact.
All right, the station trying to find the sweet spot. Did you find the sweet spot? K7 FPS?
Going out to two stations, I guess. The one going on the Quanchang, not receiving a good signal, and the other one asking if I found the sweet spot. This is KJ7, SHB, Kilo Juliet, Sierra, Delta. Am I coming in on either one of those? Come back.
Well, quit moving around, stand in one spot, transmit, and keep that antenna in one spot. You're making it, and then you're kind of not. K7 FPS. You can do the listen live thing through the eastcoastreflector.com, but you're probably not near a computer. K7 FPS.
K7 SPF, if I have that correct, this is Kilo Juliet 7 Delta. I am standing in one spot in my driveway, nothing obstructing, and continually getting various readings on my receive. And totally new to this, and any information would be super helpful. Go ahead.
I don't know. Anyway, I didn't catch your name.
I'm back again. This is KD6CWI, Ruben in Fallbrook. Good evening.
Responding to that, this is Eric in Aloha, KJ7.
KJ7 again, please.
KJ7, SHC, Kilo Juliet 7. KJ7, SHC, Kilo Juliet 7, Sierra Hotel Delta, and Aloha.
I copy Kilo Juliet number 7, Sierra Hotel Delta. Yeah, so it's not a solid transmission. That's what Fred was telling you. But there are times that you'll get a full 100%, and there are times there's going to be a cutoff on the transmission.